Krishna Prastaya Utane Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Utane Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Try to follow the tune. Shri Advaita. I'm going to lose it myself. Totally different tune. Can anyone remember what I was saying? Because they throw me right off there. Shri Krishna Chaitanya. So if you can't catch the tune, please sing very quietly. Otherwise you throw the tune into a different world. Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you for coming. So this evening we'll read a little something from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. As a few days ago we honored his appearance day, so Read a little bit more on the computer. Thank you. What would you, if you were to ask, or someone's to ask you, what would you like? What would you answer? What would you like? Imagine you're under a kalpa vriksha tree, a wish-fulfilling tree. What would you ask for?
Krishna praying.
What else could it be?
Like to be free.
Pardon?
Like to be free.
Like to be free? Free of what? Free means free of Krishna?
No.
No. Maybe you have to be a bit more specific. But,
Free of anarthas.
okay. Do we really want to be free of anarthas?
Yeah.
Yes, maybe. Yes. Do we really want Krishna prema?
Anarthas like anger, envy, jealousy, all this kind of stuff.
Okay, be nice. But in our heart of hearts, do we really, really want Krishna prema? How much do we want it, huh?
Servant of servant.
We would like to be a servant of a servant, 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 servant. Very nice. But what does that mean?
Krishna devotees.
Yeah. But what does it mean to be a servant of a servant, 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 servant?
Not self-centered.
Pardon?
Not selfish.
That's certainly true. Not thinking of my own self-interest in terms of separate from Krishna. A real self-interest, of course, is another thing. Spiritual self-interest. Servant of the servant, servant, servant. It's nice. One time when one devotee wrote a poem, it was Burjan Prabhu, who wrote a poem to Prabhupada, maybe in 1969 or 8 or something like early, first year in the movement, little offering to Prabhupada, and then wrote a little poem. Prabhupada liked the poem, but the last line of the poem was, "I just want to be a good devotee." Prabhupada said, no. Nice poem, but the last line, we're not qualified to be devotee. We want to be a servant of a devotee. To serve the will of the devotees. Yeah, that's a nice wish, to be always in that mood. Krishna's, you could say he could just throw us into that situation if he wanted, but he needn't have put us in this, or let's say covered us in this world in the first place. There's another factor involved here, which is our genuine desire, or the genuine spirit, our consciousness of the soul. How much do we really willing to pay the price for freedom from material bondage, let's say? Or are we still attached to this material world? So we can pray, as you said, for freedom from various anarthas, but even these anarthas, lust and greed and anger and so on. Of course, you could say that we've come into this world from envy, and we become illusioned, and we falsely identify ourselves with this body, which creates pride, madness, and when we don't get what we want, which is a result, we want something, we're lusty, we're never satisfied with what we want, we become greedy, and then when we don't fulfill our desires, we become angry. but it's basically this animosity towards the Lord. So do we want the final result, or do we want to say the process which will lead to the result? Or do we want to just jump to the result?
Jump. I was actually thinking one day that I wish we could actually get the love of Godhead without dying, because nobody wants to die.
That's another issue, isn't it? But the process itself, how much are we willing? If we want something usually in this material world, and of course sometimes you could say due to karma or whatever you call it, we may get it without making much endeavor. Perhaps you're born in a rich family or something just happens by good fortune in our lives, good karma. But generally speaking, if you want something, you understand that you're going to have to be willing to go through that which you need to go through to achieve it, generally. Say you want a degree, and some of you here have taken a degree. Anyone have a medical degree? Anyone have a medical degree here?
She's gone to Wellington.
Who's gone to Wellington?
Gita Jayanti.
Huh?
Gita Jayanti.
Gita Jayanti's
Yes.
gone to Wellington. She's a doctor? She's a doctor?
Yeah.
We have a few devotees here with medical degrees of some kind or another. You have to work for it, isn't it? How many years?
Normally 5.
5-year course, huh? So it's no or law. We had a lawyer with us, so it was a student lawyer. 5-year course. We accept that that's if you want to become a doctor, you can't just say I want to be a doctor and you're a doctor. Even if you do have some knowledge, you still have to usually go through the course. And there's a course, so pretty much anything we if we really want it, we'll make that serious effort usually, determined effort, to try to achieve it, whatever it may be. You want to become world champion athlete, you usually have to work quite hard to come to that stage, practicing, undergoing austerities also, to become fit and strong to achieve one's goal, try to. So when we say Krishna Prema, yes, but there, as we know, there is a path which awakens, because ultimately Krishna Prema doesn't depend on the path either. Freedom from anarthas doesn't depend upon our execution of certain aspects of sense restraint or whatever it may be, sense of control. It doesn't really, ultimately depends on another factor. What's that factor?
Mercy.
Mercy. Krishna's mercy, which he usually bestows upon those who, let's say, do their best to follow his guidance, his directions. We can't make up our own path, but Krishna understands what's going on inside us all and how sincere we are. So he bestows his mercy in various ways. To remove anarthas, well, maybe he'll place us in a situation where we come to the realization of, how we ourselves are bound up, and tend to react to situations in such and such a way, whether it's envy or anger or whatever, lust. To get some realization. That's Krishna's mercy also, to help us to realize, there's no point trying to pursue this. It doesn't do anyone any good. Becoming angry, or there may be some occasions where it's required, of course. But in general, to be controlled by anger is not at all good. Or to be controlled by lust or greed, envy. So this is Krishna's mercy. What else could we pray for or ask for if we're underneath a kalpa vriksha tree?
Faith.
Maybe our faith in Krishna consciousness becomes stronger. What else?
Taste for the holy name.
Nice taste for the holy name. I'll read something about that one in a minute and discuss that a little bit, because it's something tangible, isn't it? Faith is not exactly tangible, something that grows. We will have faith in something. Faith in Krishna consciousness generally grows along with our mature, our spiritual growth. What else?
Free from the cycle of birth and death.
Well, yeah, that's a very practical request. But that in itself is, again, a secondary thing in reality. Mayavad is also gain freedom from the cycle of birth and death. They also have, assumingly you mean faith in Krishna consciousness. To what degree is another thing. The realization of what it means to be a servant of a servant, or the realization of what it really means, Krishna prema, and so on. Maybe a little bit beyond our present scope of realization or understanding what it entails. But something like a taste for chanting the holy name is, you could say, tangible. We may ask for many detailed things, hopefully all related to Krishna consciousness. But again, it's not. Sometimes it's like word I can't remember, but jumping over or realizing there is like Prabhupada said. You know what Prabhupada wrote one time? He said our only prayer should be. He wrote one letter to Devananda Prabhu in 1968. He said our only prayer should be, my dear Lord Krishna, you are sitting in my heart as a super soul. Please remind me always to chant your holy name and not forget. You may put me in heaven or hell, but please always remind me to chant your holy name. So that's one thing Prabhupada said. Everything will come from that. Of course, there's more to it than just, you could say, simply like that. But in principle, everything comes from that. Krishna prema, freedom from birth and death. One's faith will grow. One will become servant of the servant, etc., etc. And naturally, the taste for chanting will grow. So whatever different things we may ask for, freedom from the enemies, they will go away when we chant the holy name. Not immediately maybe, and not even in a short term span, but if we keep chanting, they will certainly go away in time, one by one. Sometimes just like that. And whatever else we may aspire for is achievable by the mercy of Krishna, who has appeared in this world, in Kali Kaler, Namarupa Krishna avatar. He's appeared in this form, in his form of Nam, of this transcendental sound vibration. He's appeared, and by chanting Hare Krishna, in due course of time, and we all know there's also a process, you could say, of coming to Suddha Nam, or pure chanting of the holy name of Krishna. His Suddha Nam, which in one sense is our aspiration, pure chanting of the holy name. Because everything comes from that chanting, everything comes from Krishna. All other purposes are served by cultivating the service to the holy name purely. It includes service to devotees. It includes the byproducts of detachment and knowledge. It includes freedom from birth and death, and that which is obstacle to devotional service. It's taken into account in the process of Nama Sankirtan. So whether we want faith in the name or purity, whatever it may be, in chanting the holy name, the continuous chanting of the holy name, preferably in the association of devotees, if we have the opportunity, is the methodology to achieve all perfections in life and to ultimately achieve Krishna Prema, which of course we usually quote as our final goal. And what form Krishna Prema takes, of course, varies according to our relationships. But nonetheless, that's our goal. And Lord Chaitanya came particularly to give Krishna Prema, or the opportunity to awaken Krishna Prema in our hearts, along with the Sankirtan, the Harinam Sankirtan. He performed Harinam Sankirtan along with the intention of helping to awaken Krishna Prema in everyone's hearts. So together with his followers, he relished this Sankirtan, spreading it to even the untouchables. And he wove this wreath. He gave prema to it. The opportunities, offering prema to everyone. He wove a wreath, garlanding the whole material world. So we'll read a little something about this, because you could go on and on with details of what we would like, what we feel we would need, or what we would like to attain, on and on. But Krishna's given us everything. The holy name is not just a touchstone. The holy name is Krishna himself. But he's appeared in this way, in a sense, as a touchstone. And he's given us this opportunity to associate in this way. And we can pray that we may actually be able to touch the lotus feet of the holy name, or those who are chanting the holy name purely, and stay in that position. So we're always absorbed in that spirit of Nam Sankirtan. No matter what we're doing, all activities can be accompanied by Sankirtan. Prabhupada, of course, we know, he also said, my only prayer is, how can I serve you, in regards to his spiritual master. So that's another angle. How I can become pleasing to my spiritual master. How I can become pleasing to the devotees. It's perhaps a little hard in one sense to put oneself to the side. Someone said selfless earlier on, or free of selfishness, for the pleasure of the devotees, the pleasure of one's spiritual master. We put aside all of our own objectives in life, our own perspectives in life, whatever they may be, whatever we're attached to, etc. Putting that aside and thinking of the pleasure of the devotees. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said the gateway to Shuddhanam is service to the Vaishnavas. You can't enter in just like that to Shuddhanam or pure chanting. Service to the devotees is also extremely important. Service to the Guru, he says, is the key. So these factors are very, very important factors. We must have favorable attitude towards service to the devotees. Why? Because that's what pleases Krishna very much. Very much. And he'll bestow his mercy upon us.
All right, but first you'll have to unlock your device.
Okay. I didn't know it was locked. Thank you for that reminder. Has anyone got a key there? I'll try to unlock it. I think the keyhole's in the back here somewhere. I'm locked in this material body. To unlock me. That was in. Was that your phone? Whose phone was that? Your phone? Oh my goodness. Have you unlocked it?
I don't know what happened. I put it on silent already.
You can't keep her down, no, she is determined. Our minds are like that. We try to put them on silent, but they don't listen, do they? They don't listen to us. Huh? You're chanting japa. Try to put your mind on a kind of a silent mode, but it definitely does. It's like a child. Huh? Many of you have got kids. Some of you may have kids in the future, who knows. But you know, it's like trying to tell your little 2-year-old son, 3-year-old son, be quiet. Does it work? Does it work? Not for long, maybe for a few seconds or something, right? If you're lucky. They might just shout back at you sometimes. But they may stay quiet for a few moments, but it doesn't take them long to get fired up again. The mind's like that. It's like a wild horse or a young child. It's just rampant. So we can also pray. There's another nice prayer of Haridas. Haridas Thakur, of all persons, is praying, my dear Lord, he's praying to Mahaprabhu, my dear Mahaprabhu, please, I pray to you that my attraction for the holy name will become fixed and I will not be distracted or overwhelmed by the offenses whilst chanting the holy name, infected by the offenses while chanting. So he's praying, you could say, on our behalf. He's a Namacharya. He's the servant, he's the teacher of pure chanting of the holy name. But he's praying like that. One time Prabhupada was praying, and he'd just given a class, apparently, I heard this, or read it. He'd given a class, I think it was in Bombay, but may not be. And he'd been talking about the position of different levels of devotional service, how a beginner, Kanistadikari, for whatever reason, may fall down from his devotional practices or their practices. A Madhyamadikari is more fixed, but still the risk is there. If he associates with the Uttama or the advanced devotee, following their directions, he's protected. But otherwise there's a risk also of fall down, even though their faith is quite strong. The risk is always there. We see that with Bharat Maharaj. He didn't exactly, I guess you could say he was showing an example, the risk factor, or the dangers that we may face in life, becoming attached to some other object besides Krishna. But the Uttama Bhagavat Prabhu was saying that the Uttama Bhagavat does not fall down. He's coming, basically speaking, one can come to that platform, but talking of the real fixed Uttamadikari never falls down in this material world. Never. They come from the spiritual world into this world to give their association, to lift up the Madhyams, and the Madhyams are trying to lift up the Kanisas. Kanisas can also associate with the Uttama. They don't always recognize them. The Madhyams should be able to, by good discrimination, recognize the advanced nature of an Uttama and associate with such a great soul. So they don't fall down. Well, Prabhupada was praying in his room afterwards to Radharani, praying to Radharani, please protect me, I never fall down. So Prabhupada's servant was a little curious, and it seemed like a contradiction in one sense, knowing that Prabhupada is an Uttama Adhikari. So he asked Prabhupada to clarify how is this to be understood. And Prabhupada said this is the mood of an Uttama Adhikari. It's not like they think themselves infallible. They think themselves very fallen. They think themselves very much in Maya in one sense. They're always praying to Radharani or the internal energy for protection. They're always taking shelter, in other words. Taking shelter of the internal energy. This is the protective secret. We're a tendency to take shelter of the material energy, isn't it? Or a material knowledge which we have, or whatever degree of Krishna conscious realization may be there, but it's usually tempered with some material perspective of some kind. It may not be so pure or perfect. It's on the path of perfection, but it's not so perfect. So when we associate with those who are, we all see that. When we associate with an advanced devotee, our focus becomes more, it just becomes more there. Become more focused on Krishna, or on hearing about Krishna, or chanting about Krishna, serving Krishna, etc. by association. Like that with advanced devotees. Because they're completely taking shelter of Krishna. They're teaching us how to take shelter of Krishna. Because this is a sign of surrender. It's the ultimate goal. Krishna is our only shelter. There's no other shelter. Also in Harinam. Sankirtan is our shelter in Kali Yuga. It's the only way of God realization. So let us read something about this process from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He says, I am overjoyed. So that's one thing. Please the pure devotees. I'm overjoyed. Could you pass the hot water, please? I'm a little dehydrated. They feed us too much here. Even without going to your house, they're feeding us too much. Can you believe it? That's why we never came, because we're afraid.
Oh, thanks.
Huh?
Thanks.
Thanks, yeah. That's good. Huh? It's a compliment. Don't take it wrong.
I remember the day you came to my place and you wanted samosas. You remember that?
More what?
Samosas.
Soup?
Samosas.
Samosas. Yeah, samosas.
Next time.
But don't forget, our bodies are getting old.
Yeah.
I am overjoyed to hear of your enthusiasm that for chanting is increasing. As our contaminations are removed by chanting, the Lord's form, qualities and pastimes will be revealed to us in the holy name. Sometimes we want to, again, Krishna can do anything, but sometimes we want to jump to Krishna Prema, Raganuga Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. Want to be there in the pastimes. Sometimes when I look at the deity of Krishna, I see him dancing. He's dancing on the altar. What did Prabhupada say?
Sahaja.
Well, this came up to Prabhupada one time. What did Prabhupada say? He said, don't worry, keep chanting, it will go away. You're in a dream. Who's that?
Was my godbrother.
Oh, is he listening?
Yeah.
Oh, Hare Krishna, God brother.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj saying Hare Krishna.
Thank you. चल मैं देव से बात करता हूँ.
Okay.
That was quick. Pastimes, we hear them from the pure devotees, but to think, sometimes the devotees like to imitate. There was also a time when we're having a lot of action here tonight. Can everyone turn their phones on, please? Turn your phones on and ask everyone to ring you at the same time. That would be interesting. If you do have a phone, which you probably do, maybe you can put it on some, I don't know, airplane mode or silent or whatever you call it. Where were we talking? We were talking about the dancing deities. What was the other? Oh, yeah, one pastimes, and imagining that we're part of those pastimes. Well, there's a room for meditating on the pastimes. Of course there is, but to think, that we're. What would you like to be in the spiritual world? Sometimes the world asks the question. What would you like to be? Huh? That's the trick question. You don't want to answer that one too, do you? Well, let's just say you want to be a peacock. Who wants to be a peacock here? Yeah, is this door open? Okay. So, who wants to be a peacock? Who wants to be the peacock? Peacock? A peacock? Oh, yes, definitely. Peacock has entered. Yeah, you came at the right time. So, yeah, you may sometimes think like that. Perhaps you don't want to be a peacock. Maybe you want to be, some people may. Maybe you want to be a cow. Who wants to be a cow? Come on. You want to be a cow? That's a good part to play, isn't it? A cow. So, who wants to be a parrot? Oh, there's a good parrot over there. Who wants to be a manjari? Whoa, manjari Bhav. Who wants to be a gopa? Coward boy. You want to be both? Both. There is no. There's no room. There's no. I don't think there's any room for a gopa and a manjari.
Gopi.
You want to be a gopi? Yeah, gopi.
Birth is Gopa.
You can be a. What is that? There's certain friends of Radharani. What do they call them? Marmasakis, the Priya Marmasakis. They can be in the mood of Saka. They can be in the mood of friend also. They can be both.
Yeah, but in
But
the spiritual world, you can just change from one.
not like that. You don't do like that. It's not. It's not like the material world. You can change your blooming body left and right, and you can change your place. You can change everything in the material world, but it's not like that in the spiritual world. You got it wrong.
What?
Yes.
I thought you just desire and it happens.
But you know, the point is, you're still putting yourself in the center. You have to remember, the spiritual world is everything with Krishna in the center. It's not like you think, oh, I think I like to serve Krishna as a peacock today. I've had enough of being a cow. It's not like that. Everyone exists there simply by the will of Krishna. Whatever he wants, that's the only purpose of our existence.
And then what about if you desire something like
You don't desire, you just desire whatever Krishna wants. If
No, but
Krishna wants it.
I heard that if you desire to get a mango, it will just come in your hand, kind of a thing.
What for?
I don't know. Just
Because you want a mango? Because you want the mango or what?
to give it to Krishna.
Well, that's all right if Krishna wants it. Everything's according to the will of Krishna. So it's something we can't really imagine at this point of our lives, because we're still thinking of me in the center, and how I like this and I like that. I like this. We don't really understand what it is. Everything is divine. Everything is existing around this simple pleasure potency of Krishna, and we are also part of that, simply to satisfy what Krishna wants. And we're willing whatever you want, my Lord. Of course, that's why. I mean, if you really look at it, why are all these other relationships there if Krishna likes conjugal love the most? Why not everyone in conjugal love? No, because this is the will of the Lord. Certainly that may bring the most, but he wants variety. We're all part of that, you could say, the atmosphere, and it's Krishna's desire. It's Krishna's will. You know, if everyone wants to be a gopi or something, then what's he going to do in the forest? Pick flowers? Yeah. Everything is made, and what can we say? We cannot envision it at our present state, except to say that those varieties do exist in this world, be they perverted, be they, imperfect, call it what you will. But in the spiritual it's a little different, where the tendency is we're not putting ourselves, we don't even think of our own self-satisfaction. But exactly, your nature will be exactly accordingly for the pleasure of Krishna. We don't need to worry about that. So if Krishna wants you to change your form, then let so be it. But it's not that we do like that. Anyway, let's move on. And, okay, you got it? It's amazing. It's a part of a stage of devotional service where, I remember one time I think 2 or 3 months ago at New Mayapur, I can't remember exactly what was going on, but one devotee was giving class. I don't know if I can really remember it, but it was quite interesting about, devotional service and, rendering according to our likes and capacity. It was a beginning stage of devotional service, but the conversation went on, and we tried to put a different light on it, that devotional service is not only, we tend to see ourselves in the center. I like this, I don't like that, and so on and so forth. But real devotional service is not quite like that. Real devotional service is anyabilashita shunyam. Anukulyena krishnanu, Anukulyena krishnanu shilnam. It's that which is pleasing to Krishna. What pleases Krishna's senses. And not so much what pleases my senses. It may do that, of course. But that's not the deciding factor. It's what pleases Krishna's senses. So a devotee is willing to undergo austerity, what we call austerity, and we forego our own so-called pleasures for the pleasure of something else. So in devotional services, learning or coming gradually may take time. Come to that point of not just what I like this, I like that. We always say that in the beginning. What service do you like? Huh? What service do you like? Come on, someone say something.
Deity
What's it?
worship.
Pardon?
Deity worship.
Deity worship, great. So you're engaged in, say, I mean, maybe you're not, but you'll be perhaps engaged in deity worship. And what's the result of engaging your senses in deity worship?
Normal.
You feel normal, whatever normal is.
I feel rightly situated.
Properly situated. You feel comfortable. You feel inspired. You feel enthusiastic. But there's another result that takes place. In time, as you
Satisfying.
satisfying, there's still more than that.
Purifying.
Pardon?
Purifying.
Feels fine.
Purifying.
Purifying. I said feel fine. Purifying. I'm old age coming on. Going a bit screwy.
I feel a relief.
Purifying. What is the purification?
That I can see Krishna in the center and not myself in the
Okay, that's a practical pointer. That more and more is Krishna the center, isn't it? And what he would like. We learn, of course, we do actually practice by following the pure devotees to do what Krishna likes, but there's still the element of what I like and I don't like there, Sometimes we give up our service, we don't like this thing or that thing.
Surrender.
Pardon?
Surrender.
Well, it's part of, yes, this starts from surrender. It becomes more and more surrender, you could say. In the beginning, the surrender is that we accept the way of doing it. It's not like you just go on the altar and do what you like, do you?
No. Well,
Yeah. I like, I hope not. You go on the altar and you think, I'm going to worship Krishna today. I like jeans. I think he must like jeans. I'm going to put a pair of jeans on him today. I don't agree with all this arty stuff, I'm going to, play rock music and, do a break dance or, whatever it is. Give Krishna. I went to one temple, it wasn't a Krishna temple. There's a Saraswati temple in Malaysia. They had the Saraswati there and others there they had all modern clothes and guitar. She was playing the guitar. All modern things, all kinds of things. She had earphones, all sorts of crazy, absolutely crazy.
What who was having earphones on?
Saraswati,
Saraswati.
the deity, yeah.
The deity was
Yeah,
having
yeah.
earphones
The
on.
deity, yeah.
Okay. I was wondering whether I...
Yeah, so I was just saying that, deity worship isn't just you go on there and do what you think. It's good, We had this sometimes. I like this, therefore I'm going to do it for Krishna. Okay, there's that maybe childlike beginning, but that's not surrender, exactly. It may or may not help us towards that. The surrender is we accept. I may not understand, I may not agree, but if I'm going to do deity worship, there's a standard process. At least in the Vaidhi stage, that is the program. Maybe in the spontaneous platform it's a little different. But we don't imitate that, do we? It's like, you take someone, was it Gorky Das Babaji or was it, no, Vamsi Das Babaji with his deity and, you rascal, I left you here to protect the house and I went out and in the meantime they stole all your paraphernalia. It's your fault. I'm not going to feed you now. You can feed yourself. And we can't imitate that. You know what I mean? He has a personal friend of the Lord, it's like a different thing.
I certainly wasn't imitating. But
Pardon?
I certainly wasn't imitating, but when my daughter kept going into hospital all the time, I said, okay, I'm not going to serve you anymore. I mean, what am I doing? It's Gaur Purnima, and here we are sitting in the hospital. I'm not serving you.
Serving Krishna?
Yeah. I was having kind of like an argument with Lord Chaitanya.
Wow,
Because we were
amazing.
going into hospital all the time with my daughter.
Wonderful. What to do? Anyway, we all go through different stages of, like a child, growing up. We all go through these different emotions. Sometimes we do get angry with Krishna. In the beginning, we're not on that higher level. So devotional service is really ultimately aimed at just bringing pleasure to Krishna. And we learn that from the pure devotees. So we'll carry on with this little reading here. Oh, I was just explaining about the pastimes, because Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj is mentioning here that by chanting the holy name, that the Lord will reveal his form, his qualities, and his pastimes. So, we already mentioned a little bit about the others. And about pastimes, his devotees one time in Los Angeles, maybe 1975, were meditating on what they thought they would like to be in their constitutional position in relationship with Krishna. And one was thinking of being a peacock. So they started to practice, practically speaking, the various movements and behavior, what they consider the behavior of a peacock. As if this is the way that we become or attain a spiritual form or a spiritual position. But that's not the process. Others were thinking in terms of becoming. This is some people in Sahaja mentality is quite common in even today. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to deal with this a lot. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was very strong against this Sahaja tendency, or this taking everything very lightly and cheaply and thinking we could jump over by kind of trying to artificially or prematurely implement another type of devotional process of Raganuga Bhakti or something. That's not even Raganuga Bhakti, but the imitation of Raganuga Bhakti. So that is another, let's say, deviation from the reality. We don't need to meditate on who we are or anything like that. We try to understand that first and foremost we have to understand our position, constitutional position, is founded on this point, which one devotee did mention, Gopi Bhatta Padakamalam Dasa 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 Anudas, to first realize that we are servants of Krishna, not that Krishna is servant of us. Give me this, give me that, let me do this, let me have that. Not a conditional one, although, of course, in the very neophyte stage, that will be probably the first approach. But that's not the approach of devotional service. Bhakti generally starts when we rise above that platform. Up to that time, we're serving a bhakta, in one sense. Classified as devotion, but it's not pure devotion. Pure devotion begins when we really realize our position as a servant and what goes along with that. So let's carry on with this reading. As our contaminations are removed by chanting, you mentioned daily worship, it could be cooking, it could be any service, but if we try to dedicate ourselves to that service in the way which is most pleasing to Krishna, which is we hear from our spiritual authorities or from scripture, what that may be, then the contaminations in our heart can be removed, can be cleansed out. And we start to see more and more Krishna in the center and not ourselves, or our interpretation of what is right and wrong. They'll be revealed to us. Revelation comes from Krishna. There's no point in making a separate effort to artificially remember the Lord's form, qualities, and pastimes. You don't need to make a separate endeavor. We do hear about them from Shastra, of course. The Lord and His name are the same. This will be understood clearly when the coverings in your heart are removed. By chanting without offenses, you will personally realize that all perfections come from the holy name. All perfections. Whatever you want. Or whatever, at the moment it may be what I want, but perfection means whatever our situation is in relationship with Krishna. Everything will be revealed. Through chanting, the distinction that exists between the self and the gross and subtle bodies is gradually effaced, and one realizes one's own spiritual form. We're no longer covered by these false identities. Once aware of the spiritual body, as one continues to chant, one sees the transcendental nature of the Lord's form. Only the holy name reveals the spiritual form of the living being and then causes him to be attracted to Krishna's form. Only the holy name reveals the spiritual qualities of the living being and then causes him to be attracted to Krishna's qualities. Only the holy name reveals the spiritual activities of the living being and then causes him to be attracted to Krishna's pastimes. By service to the holy name, we do not only mean the chanting of the holy name, and this is an important point. Something is arriving here, we don't know what is coming in here. Bhagavad Gita's. Wonder what's interesting, it came in at that moment. Listen to this. By service to the holy name, we do not only mean the chanting of the holy name. Sometimes we get a false understanding of this. And sometimes devotees think it only means to chant the holy name. But Bhaktisiddhanta says, no, we do not only mean the chanting of the holy name. It also includes, listen carefully and close that door first. It also means, who knows what it means? Or includes the other duties of the chanter. We have other duties in life. We don't ignore them. They have to be done. Service to the name includes that. We're not here to use the name to achieve a purpose. We're here to serve the name. If we serve the holy name with the body, mind and soul, then the direction of that service spontaneously appears manifest like the sun in the clear sky of the chanter's heart. What is the nature of the holy name? Eventually all these understandings spontaneously appear in the heart of one who chants the holy name. The true nature of Harinam is revealed. What does Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj say? The true nature of the holy name is revealed by, interesting point, listening to, reading and studying scriptures. It is unnecessary to write any further on this subject. All these things will be revealed to you through chanting. So just a little insight there. What was that? Another one. That one. A deep understanding, a little deeper, not very deep in many ways, but a deeper understanding of our relationship with the holy name and what it means to serve the name, what it means to chant the name, and the nature of devotional service, you could say. Oh, this is a microphone, I see. It makes a louder noise. That's good. Okay. Better late than never. Prabhupada said that kirtan is our life and soul. What is kirtan? Krishna. Yeah. And what, we could say, let's say, in what way do we approach Krishna through kirtan?
Wanting to please him.
Yeah, these are deeper things. I was thinking more on the surface. What is kirtan? I mean, just a literal question. What is kirtan?
Congregational chanting.
No, kirtan is not necessarily congregational chanting. Okay, glorification. It's generally understood to be, chanting verbally the glorification of the Lord. This is traditional, though the usage has changed. Sankirtan is congregational. Sankirtan. Kirtan, you may be on your own. We use the words interchangeably, but literally kirtan can be anywhere with just yourself. You're chanting aloud, verbally, the glorification, in this case of the holy name. And japa generally means silent, or in our case, for one's own hearing. Although Prabhupada said it should also be audible to others. It doesn't mean we're chanting loudly. You can if you're in a position where you need to or you want to and doesn't disturb anyone else. But generally japa is usually quite for one's own hearing. Kirtan is loud for others' hearing as well. And Sankirtan is for engaging everyone, not only in hearing but chanting. So there's a simple thing, but this is Kirtan is our life and soul, glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the only, basically speaking, successful process in this age. Other processes are there, but they're primarily to support the growth of pure chanting of Shuddha, chanting of the holy name, because everything will come, everything, as we cultivate Shuddha. But service to the Vaishnavas, the performance of other devotional activities, preaching Krishna consciousness, even nourishing our families, and maintaining our family properly. All this is part of support. All this is can be part of worshipping the holy name. It's not that they were worshipping the holy name and then we were doing something else. Everything has to be seen in that light. How we can please the holy name. And if we please the holy name will naturally reciprocate and give us that realization of our identity, of the transcendental nature of the holy name. And sometimes we become a little fanatical to think we can imitate. And many devotees tried that and they didn't really succeed. It's not to say that process doesn't work. We have examples of Haridas Thakur, of course, who was chanting constantly. He did do other things, but primarily he was just chanting the holy name. Even Prabhupada's Gopala Krishnadas Babaji was primarily just chanting, but he did other things too. And he was preaching the holy name as well. But they were exceptional personalities. For most of us, now back to the earlier point, if we read in the Nectar of Devotion, and everyone has a Nectar of Devotion, right? You have Nectar of Devotion? Everyone has Nectar of Devotion? Love, your friend has Nectar of Devotion? You. Me. You. Yeah. You said me, I said you. You said me, and I said you. Pardon? You don't identify yourself as you. That's good. Who are you? I'm me. No, you're not me, you're you. So do you have a Nectar of Devotion? Not yet. Eh? We have Nectar of Devotion? We have one here? Where's Gopal here? Can you give me a Nectar of Devotion? Nectar of Devotion. Well, that's a really amazing version. I haven't seen one. I see them a lot. We have them in New Mayapur. We've only got books from 1975 in New Mayapur, in our library, more or less. And they're all old. We got the first versions. I don't know if I can find it like this though, but we read in the Nectar of Devotion. I don't know, where is it? I don't know. Somewhere here. What is this? This is amazing. They have different titles in this old version. There's a chapter called the Maha Mantra. I don't think there is a chapter called the Maha Mantra in the new one. I've never seen it. I didn't even realize that. I turned straight to a chapter called the Maha Mantra. It's funny, huh? And the problem is this is laid out differently as well. So I kind of know the layout of the new one a little bit, but this one I don't know the layout. It's called the Maha Mantra. Far out. Wow. Have you ever heard of that chapter in the Nectar of Devotion? I don't know how all this changed a little bit. Aspects of transcendental service. Anyway, I won't be able to find it. It's like that unless Krishna wants us to immediately find it. But Prabhupada says, for those who don't really want to change their hearts, when we really dig down, how seriously do we want to change our attitude? Do we want to change our tendencies? Do we want to change our attachments? How deep down? I don't know. But I know myself, it's not deep enough. It's the Prabhupada writes, he said, for those who are not so serious about this change of heart, he said, for them, engage in service to the devotees. Just serve. Render service. This way, gradually, by the mercy of those devotees, Krishna will bestow his mercy like that, to help release us from that. What we're hanging on to. This belonged to somebody called, can't read it, looks like Kedar Das. Probably is the first edition. Well, it's not actually, I don't think it is the first. I think this is the second edition. Chapter 13 is the Maha Mantra, if you're wondering which chapter it is. This might be the first one. Printing, no, this is the third one. Yeah, the first one was in 1917. This is 1972. ISKCON Books. Great. Thank you for that. We'll keep it there.
Oh yeah.
Huh? What's that?
The battery of your mic, of your lapel, has just done a whole gear.
Throw it in the bin. Huh? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Oh. Voice hasn't come back yet, but it's a little bit better day by day. Well, I return it. Thank you for that. It was nice while it lasted. Like everything in this material, we say it was nice while it lasted, huh? Maybe. But then it doesn't last, does it? You know, what to do. So the holy name is always there, isn't it amazing? This form of Krishna is so merciful. Isn't it? He's always there. You don't, it doesn't matter where you are. And if you're in the hospital, you can chant. Come on.
I did.
Okay, then you didn't give up worshipping Krishna. You still worship him. Huh?
That's all I had. That's all I had.
Well, that's all you need. What more do you need? What more do you need? I was given a seminar one time in Malaysia, maybe, I don't know, a long time back. It was a seminar on Vanaprastha, if you know what that is. Some of us here are over 60 or something, I don't know. Are you over 60 yet?
No, not yet. 50,
Are you over 50?
56.
56. So one of the seminars we gave was Life Begins at 50. And it was about Vanaprastha life. And this one was Life Begins at 70. Well, everyone was over 70. All the attendants. Malaysia, elderly. Oh, Hare Krishna. All the Malaysian elderly devotees were there, lots of them. And, you know, because they're all over, they're not working no more. What do I do with my life? Sit at home and watch the TV? Look after the grandchildren all day long? Play billiard, domino, or whatever they play?
Bingo.
Bingo, thank you. Bingo, if you're from the Western world. Play bingo. Oh my God, they still play that game? Really? Still around, huh? You know, what do people do when they're 70? Huh? You must have met people or know people or are people.
I know one lady, she's got this big, she got herself a special jigsaw table. And she puts on jigsaws like,
Jigsaws, that's putting things in place, is it?
yeah, she does about,
All day long.
she does it for about half an hour. And then she studies actually Bible all.
Well, that's not so bad. She's a religious-oriented person.
Yeah.
But most older people don't study the Bible as far as I've seen. I don't
Go on
know.
cruises.
Huh?
Go on cruises.
What's that?
On a ship.
Oh, on the boat. They go on these world cruises. And
Play
get,
They
bingo.
play lawn bowls.
huh?
Lawn bowls.
Oh, those bowls. The men, they love those bowls, don't they? Harry bowls. Yes.
Or they're in the garden.
In the garden, if they're a little active or a little bit, you know, whatever, productive. My dad that was what he did. He had his heart attack and dig in the garden. You know, he loved to dig the garden, so he was digging the garden. And, well, they do all sorts of things. Television is a very big occupant, isn't it? They like to watch the TV. Is it right? I don't know about Indian people, but especially in the West, it's a very common thing. I think even Indian families, the elderly like to watch the TV, don't they? Yeah. And look after the grandchildren, fiddle around in the house, right? Isn't it wonderful? Huh? But it's, you can say it is what it is, and it's common. It just perpetuates the life cycle of birth and death over and over. It's not really the goal of human life, is it? To spend your last years. So what they're asking, what do we do? So we're presenting a little presentation of what you can do. I mean, most of us will probably reach that age. Some of us are already beyond it. Because we're in a different situation in life, you could say. We've not different responsibility, but most people, most grihastas will reach that age. And, it's not that you have to, but it's good to know what you can do, or what could be done at that age, to further our spiritual life and help encourage others. When we look at the example, for instance, of Lord Kapila Dev, some of you have heard of this story in the Bhagavatam. Well, it's not a story, it's a historical event. So what did Lord Kapila Dev? He was teaching his mother, right? Much of the third canto of Bhagavatam is the instructions of Lord Kapila Dev to his mother, Devahuti. Now, who was the father? Kardama Muni. Now, Kardama Muni was a sage. He was very spiritually inclined, no doubt. And he and his wife, they've been performing austerities also. And they had children. They had many daughters. After some time, he gave his wife many daughters. But she wanted a son. So he stayed around to give her a son. But as soon as the small ass, as soon as the son was born, he left home. The son was not an ordinary boy. You could say this is very irresponsible, in one sense, from the material point of view. But this is obviously, it's not a material pastime. But why he left home? When he has son, what was the goal of his life? If the goal of your life is Krishna, why would you leave home if your son was Krishna? Does sound a bit funny, doesn't it? Son is like, expansion of the Lord. Why would he do that?
As an example.
Well, that's one good reason, isn't it? Here specifically as an example to show others. He just went away to the forest. Because he was doing that before, and that was his life's practice, you could say. And he did his duty as a grihasta, you could say, because he's not an ordinary personality. He's not like a one working in a factory or something. What did he have to renounce? He's showing the example to others. That we shouldn't remain forevermore locked up in the ever going on cycle of, repetitive sense gratification. And we may not be able to do that, but to some extent we can. So we understand that Vanaprastha in this age is not quite the same as in previous ages. There are statements in the Shastras that Vanaprasthas exist on tree bark. I don't know if you ever tried eating tree bark. It's not very tasty. Maybe put a bit of butter on it or something.
Aren't they dressed in tree bark?
Yeah, they're also dressed in tree bark or something like that. And they can even eat tree bark. So if you're hungry, you just start eating your dress.
It's good for medicinal purpose.
Huh?
It's good for medicinal purpose.
Is it? I guess it depends. Yeah, it could be. But I don't know. But it's certainly not something that most people can do in this Kali Yuga, even to go to the forest and live on it. Sometimes even, like on a Sunday feast, is roots and shoots. You have your special feast. Some berries, some roots, some fruit, shoots. A delicious meal. Indulge oneself. No, people can't do that in this age. So a different approach, where we try to dedicate ourselves in whatever we can to service. So even if you do stay at home with wife, whatever, generally the family will go away on their own 2 feet somewhere. So hopefully it'll be, unfortunately most people get sucked back into it. That's okay for the wife, but the man is supposed to be showing an example to uplift the consciousness of the world. The wife can also, and she does, even if she goes home in traditional society. She is like the guru of the family. She's not like the nuisance that has to be looked after. She is the most important person in the family because she's giving she's the spiritual head of the whole family when she goes back home to join the family. If they've gone wandering as Vanaprastha, she may come back home And everyone looks up to her as the spiritual mother of the family, as well as the material mother, in the sense everyone respects her. She's not like, many times now they just, oh my God, we have to look after our parents and, put them in an old age people's home or something. Not at all. The most important people in society, and the male will be dedicating themselves to preaching Krishna consciousness in a very detached way, and the female will also be in the home doing the same thing amongst the family. So they're a very, very valuable asset to society. It is not existing very much nowadays. So that's one thing, that Vanaprasthas may do that amongst their family. Try to help them to understand the higher purposes of life. Try to concentrate on pure chanting. They can, I know many Vanaprasthas, senior devotees, ladies, men, who are chanting 64 rounds or more, daily, more in many cases, sincerely trying to cultivate pure chanting of the holy name. Many things they can do according to their condition, according to their proclivities. But anyway, in this seminar, one devotee was 92 years old, put his hand up and said, at that time I was, I suppose, classified as a Vanaprastha. He put his hand up and he said, Prabhu, I have a big problem. 92 and he still had a big problem. Now, it's big when some devotee comes to see us, they say, Maharaj, I have a big problem. It's usually something to do with, you can probably guess, it's something to do with something like that. Family life, some anxiety, some mental problems, sexual urges, all kinds of different things, problems with other people, all this type of stuff, usually. So I wonder, what has he got? 92 years old, he's got a big problem. What problem would he have? Maybe some of you got 92-year-old relatives, I don't know. What problems do they have?
Poor digestion.
Oh yeah, that's the usual thing they'll say. I've got a problem with poor digestion, dementia. They may not even remember that they've got a problem with dementia, but they've got some kind of problem. Arthritis, all kinds of things, right? Fears, whatever it may be. But that wasn't what he said. He said, my problem is, maybe a degree of dementia, but not really, because he was fully cognizant of his position. But he said, I am forgetting everything. This man knew every verse in Bhagavad Gita. I know myself, because I kind of got him on into it to start reading Gita. And he learned every verse when he was in his 70s. And he said, I can't remember anything anymore. I've forgotten all the verses. All I can remember is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. What do you think about that? Is that good or bad? It's good? I think so. What do you think? Not bad, huh? That's all he was thinking of. Nothing else. Just chanting. And he left his body at 94. A great soul. As a result of it. Because he spent his last years in this way, more or less. Studying the Gita, chanting Hare Krishna, like that. So in old age like that. Not to waste their life away. So better we try practicing now. To chant. And it's not just when we got our beads in our hand. We can chant any time. Isn't it? More or less, and within reason. Obviously, if you're talking to somebody, somebody comes to see, like Hari Kirtan, when a client comes to see you, they ask a question, and you just go, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. They'll probably think that it's you who needs to see somebody now. Right? They're certainly not going to be very impressed. Or as a doctor, if someone comes to you to see you, you just sit there chanting Hare Krishna. You'll probably lose your job pretty quick anyway if you've got a job. Are you a freelance or are you working with a...
Salaried.
Pardon?
Salaried.
Salary. So you're working for a clinic or something. So you can't, it's not like you can chant Hare Krishna or, Anuraga, you're still nursing? No, you've changed your occupation now.
Still nursing.
Still nursing, but changing. In the changing. You know, you're doing nursing. You might be able to chat sometimes while you're doing it, but sometimes you can't. Doctor says, what's the news on this patient? And you go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. What? You know, well, I was told by my spiritual master I have to chant 24 hours a day. You know, okay. I better go out and do it somewhere else. Or, you know, certain times obviously you can't. Oh, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, especially for grihastas, it means whenever you do have spare time, you chant in your spare time. That doesn't mean you ignore your family responsibilities. It doesn't mean you ignore your other duties in life, services to the deity or whatever it may be. But whenever there's a spare time, you chant Hare Krishna. He said this is the fulfillment for grihastas kirtaniya sadhari. Not that it's like actually 24 hours, but you utilize every moment you can, within reason, without being seen unduly fanatical in the eyes of those around us, using your common sense. This way we can, let's say, a little bit follow this line of thought here of always chanting the holy name of Krishna. That means we're showing, you could say, as much respect as we can. How do we may not have love for Krishna right now, and we may think we do, but we may have some love for, let's say, the devotees of Krishna, love for some aspects of devotional service. How do we show love to the holy name? Krishna in this form. How do we show love?
By chanting attentively.
That's usually the understanding. That we try our best. We try our best. Now, we all know it's not the easiest thing to do, is it, to be attentive while chanting? Is it? Not the easiest thing. And, you know, if it was so easy, it wouldn't be much of a surrender, would it? If it was so easy. You know, because there is a struggle. Why is there a struggle? Why do we struggle with that? To be attentive. We theoretically know that this is Radha and Krishna. We theoretically know this is the best process in this age. We theoretically know Krishna's pleased by this. Isn't it? Why is it we have such a struggle?
Because of the lifetime so conditioning.
Yes, definitely could be said like that. Well, let me give another example. Now, I don't want to say, I'll just make a proposal. I'm not going to point anyone out. Just say, you are very, very attached to cricket. I don't think you are. But some of the men, Indian men, generally we find amongst Indian men, more than most, some of them are very attached to cricket. I'm not saying anyone here is. Welcome back. So just say, now, if someone starts talking about cricket, will you start thinking about something else? Will we start thinking, just say I'm attached to cricket, and you start talking about cricket. Will I start thinking about the weather? Not unless it affects cricket, right? I'll only think of things in relationship with cricket. Why? Because I'm really attached to cricket. And it can apply to any subject matter, isn't it? Something which we really like or we're attached to. I guess our attachment to Krishna is not very strong in one sense. Our mind wanders all over. We could say that. But our attachment to Krishna becomes stronger or shown that we're sincere when we make that endeavor to folk again. Try to hear the name. Okay, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj says here there's no need to think of the pastimes or the qualities or form of the Lord. The name itself is everything. But sometimes, even Prabhupada said, when we chant, our mind is wandering. Sometimes you can chant. It's better to chant and think, like for instance, sometimes we may have experienced, we meditate on Govardhan Parikrama. Any of you have done Govardhan Parikrama? Pass the water like it is. Where? Oh, thank you. So it may be. instead of the mind wandering onto today's events or yesterday's events or even worse things than that, you think of Govardhan Prikrama. Now, when you go down around Govardhan Prikrama, what do you do? When you're going around Govardhan? Chant. You're not listening to anything else, are you? Rock music or cricket scores or whatever.
A couple of months ago, I went round with my brother's son, and he just talked the whole way. He wouldn't shut up.
Well, you still get some benefit, but not as much benefit. It's like when we chant Hare Krishna, even if our mind is inattentive, that's why Vachaka japa is more beneficial. One devotee was asking me about this. I said, well, of course there are injunctions for Manasika japa, but our acharyas have recommended Vachaka, that means verbal chanting. And the holy name is not a object that we can, expect, not demand results or expect results or whatever. It's not an object, it's a person. So if the person wants you to chant loudly and you don't chant loudly, the person is not going to reciprocate, obviously. Or not reciprocate in the same way, or reciprocate but less in a different way. So if the one who's giving us the mantra or enlightening us in chanting the holy name asks us to chant loud, or not say screaming, but verbal, and we do something else, then the holy name will not reveal itself. It's a person. Krishna's name, person. So if we go around Govardhan Hill and we're talking all the time, we are not really, showing that respect. But still you get benefit, even though he talks all the time. You probably wish he didn't talk all the time. But generally when we go down Govardhan Hill, we chant as we go, usually. I think so. But most of us, that's what they do. And you're thinking, you may not be hearing the name, but you're thinking of the Dham when you're going around, isn't it? Oh, here's Govinda Kund. Oh, here's Apsara Kund. Oh, here's Navakund. Different kunds as you go around. Oh, we're approaching Radhakund. Now we're, Uddhava Kund. Here is, whatever it is, different places as we go around the hill. There's the place where Madhavendra Puri, uncovered his Gopal Day. So your mind is focused like that, and you're chanting at the same time. So sometimes when we're chanting japa, also, that may be the case. We're not propagating it, but when the mind wanders so much, to bring it back to at least to relate to Krishna. Bring it back a little bit. Sometimes that's there. Yeah. So we can show our attention, our love for Krishna, to try to be attentive to him, even though we don't really have spontaneous love. We make the effort to hear the sound of the holy name. We try to hear the sound. Hare Krishna. It's getting hot in here, by the way. Am I correct? Yeah. So I don't know what to do. When you open the window, we complain it's too cold. When you close it, we say it's too hot. I don't know what we're going to do here. At least I can take the jumper off, I think. And maybe we can open up a window where the wind isn't going to blow through so strongly. Okay. And Krishna, he sees our effort. He recognizes at least we're making the effort. We're not just resigning to mechanical chanting. There's needles everywhere. What's this? Two now.
That's what
Two.
That's what a telecast is.
Pardon?
That's what a telecast, isn't it?
Oh, okay. We're online. I better be careful what I say. I didn't realize it. You can see our effort. We're making that's a degree of surrender. Trying to hear the sound of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
How many of you are chanting rounds on beats? How many here are chanting japa or rounds on beats? Hands up. You sure? No rounds? No chanting? You have a bead bag? You don't chant?
Just showing.
Just show, yeah. So I think every hand went up there, did it? More or less, yeah, pretty much everyone is chanting japa. So why not we chant a round of japa? Okay? Is it okay? If you haven't got beads, don't mind. You can chant without. But it's good to have beads. You know, Prabhupada, pretty much wherever he went, he took his bead bag with him. Pretty much. I never saw him without his bead bag. But maybe he did. But pretty much always had his bead bag with him. Have you got your beads back there? I can't see everyone. Your beads, bead bag. They have a what do you call it? An app on the mobile phone now. You seen it?
What is that, Mark?
There's a japa chanting app on the mobile.
Yeah.
Okay. You go like this on your screen. You've seen it? We had one devotee in France who used to chant like this. No, it's not. It's a mobile phone. And it's got this app, and there's like beads, and you just go like this, and it goes to the next one. All these looking like beads on your mobile. And it's good because it keeps count. You don't have to, it tells you how many rounds you've chanted, everything. It's great. It's not the same, I tell you. It's not like we're not just doing it. The beads themselves are special, and you know that the touch of the beads also has a special effect. It's scientific. It has an effect on our senses, especially the Tulsi beads. We're touching Tulsi, huh? Isn't it wonderful? Did your husband get away today?
I think so.
You don't know?
Well,
He didn't come back home for dinner. He didn't come.
Sent me a text from before he was taken off.
He was doing okay.
Yeah, he said.
Great. He's on his way to Vrindavan.
On the
Fantastic.
way.
Fabulous. So if you don't have beads, never mind. We have a tongue. Chanting's with the tongue, huh? Prabhupada said, even Lord Chaitanya, he didn't generally chant on beads, you know. Chanted on string or on his fingers like that. So there's the tongue. Use our tongues. By using the tongue in Krishna, this is the process, isn't it? Of how we become purified. We use our, beginning with the tongue, we serve Krishna. So start from the beginning now. Everybody, go back to ground zero, or whatever you call it, on your beads. On the first bead, right? You ready? All together. Now some of you may not understand what we mean by all together, but it means at the same pace. Okay? And it'll be interesting to see, when you finish the round, put your hand up, okay? Well, those who haven't got beads won't know necessarily, so we don't ask them. But those who have beads, even you chant on your fingers, it's not always so easy to keep an accurate record, you know. When I first joined, I remember we would sit in the temple room in the morning, or whenever, and if a guest came in the temple room, we had to give the guest our own beads to chant on, and we would chant on our fingers, even if you've been initiated. The guest, never been to the temple before, show them how to chant, give them your own beads, and chant on the fingers. It's not necessary like that. Now you should have spare beads for guests. We didn't have any beads. Our beads were like whatever we could get our hands on. Some devotees had plastic beads, all different kinds. You probably know that. My beads were partly wood and partly dough. Flour and water. I rolled the dough on the string. There was no one had knots between their beads. I rolled the beads around the dough around the string, put it in the oven and cooked it. And Prabhupada chanted on those beads.
On the dough beads?
Yes, on the dough beads. He gave them, with his own hand he gave them to me. There you go.
Do you still have them?
No, they disappeared maybe 2 days after initiation. I went to the bathroom and we had no bead bags in those days. No one had a bead bag. So, no, well, I'm not sure who consumed them, but I put them on the hook outside the bathroom, came out, they weren't there anymore. They'd gone. Oh, isn't that a shame? What to do? Anyway, that was life. Dobies. I thought maybe someone was really hungry, so that was the end of that. It was quite a privilege in those days to get you. Well, we used to get chapatis actually, so it wasn't really needed. But anyway, we're kind of a bit lucky now. We got access to all these types of beads and paraphernalia. No one had kurtas. You know, nothing was practically available in those days. All the ladies had the same kind of sari, this kind of piece of nylon cloth bought in one local shop. You know, all dressed the same. All the boys had nylon dhotis, bright orange. You had one each, that was the ration. No one had more than one. You got washed twice a week. Laundry was only twice a week, and you had like one piece, one dhoti, only one. You had a couple of t-shirts, and no one had bead bags. Whatever other little things you had to keep your body covered. All went to the laundry twice a week. You had to wear it the whole week. Didn't wash it at night, there was nowhere to wash it. And you had to put jeans on. You know, communal jeans, it wasn't like you had your own. Communal jeans. Also at the laundry. And those were all communal. T-shirts, everything was communal. Even underwear was communal. Everything. It was. Well, you can say no, but I tell you it was communal. Everything was communal. You were not there. You don't know what it was like in the Brahmachari ashram. Everything was communal. Absolutely everything.
Where was that, Maharaj?
It's a Bury place in London. It was so common all over the world at one time. Nothing. You never had anything of your own.
When did it change?
72. Late in 72. Started to have a little bit of...
That you weren't allowed.
Huh?
And sort of like you were not allowed to wear clothes that was sewn, right?
No, we had whatever we could get our hands on. It was sewn or not sewn. They were all nylon. Our dhotis were all made of nylon. We bought them in the local shop around the corner. They were all, made of nylon. They weren't even made of cotton. Couldn't get what we wanted, you know. It was like whatever you could get, you got. It was like, And they go to the laundry, and when the laundry would come back, they would come back in a huge tangled pile. Because they would go to the local laundry. They stuff it in the machine, as much as they could, because they would be given so much money to do the laundry, and there's like 10 brahmacharis, 12 brahmacharis, clothes all stuffed in there in one machine. And, they would save money. So, not realizing it doesn't really wash it or dry it, you just sort of stuff it in there. They would keep the money. They're given enough for 2 machines. They stuff it in one. I know because I went with them sometimes. They stuff it in one and they keep the rest, because next door to the laundry was this fresh bake, bakery, where they sell 6 o'clock in the morning, hot bread. And they would buy bread with the extra money and have something different, relieving them of their, something sensual. They would do that. And then they would stuff it into the drying machine, and it would get all tangled and twisted like this, They'd come back and be a big ball on the floor in the prasada room downstairs. And it was first come, first serve, They get back about 10 in the morning, and everyone would dive in there, and you try to untangle things and grab this and that. It was a real scene, I'll tell you. A real scene. We loved it. It was communal. It was so communal. Everything was communal.
Even the underwear.
Yes, even the underwear. And we only had one pot of toothpaste. No one had their own toothpaste. You would dip your spoon into this pot like this. You can't imagine.
Are you making it up?
No, I'm not making it up. I'm not. It was made of salt, mustard oil, and ground cloves. This toothpaste, it was like grit, and you dip your pen on your teeth. Those were the days. And there's only one shower. At one time, there's only one shower for men and women. We would have a system. The men would take, or the women would take alternately, I think. But no, it was the men. Men would take first, because the shower was in the brahmachari room. We didn't have a separate shower. It was illegal, It was an office building, so it was converted. And the brahmachari room was the shower room, as well as where they slept. and some would sleep in the shower. So it's 3:45, everyone had to get up, and then there was no hot water ever. It was just middle of the winter when I joined, freezing cold water. That was it. And it was it was a pipe, so it came out like this. And there was a little curtain there, and pulled the curtain, and I saw one day he would go in there, but he wasn't taking a shower. He was like cramped up against the wall, making out like he was taking a shower. He was clever. It was quite something. But it was all fun. It was really fun, I tell you. And it was amazing. 7 hours, 8 hours a day on the street, chanting and dancing every day of the week. 6.5 days of the week. That was it. Everyone, except for the pujari and the cook. Everyone else, temple president, even the pujaris had to go at half-time. They would alternate. Everybody out. And all day, 9:30, out on the street. Short lunch break, 6:30, 6:15, back again. Harinam, all day long. Can you imagine? Rain, snow, wind, whatever. Never stop. And full morning program. Nobody would miss it. Nobody. Because we're all living in the temple. Evening program, even more than the morning program. It was like a wave of devotion. Straight after class, everyone cleaned the temple. All 22 devotees cleaning the temple. Then breakfast and straight out on the street. It was normal. We thought it was normal. But it was certainly a very, very, seemed like a really purifying program to me. Very exciting, very challenging. It was, whatever. So let's chant around. So japa, yeah. And we used to chant, we had the good fortune, because I mentioned maybe the other day, we used to chant in front of the deities, our japa. Now, they close the curtains as soon as Mangalarti is over. Right? You don't see it again till deity greeting. But then they only close the curtains at 6:30 in the morning. Radha Krishna deities, Jagannath deities, and Gaurnitai. We had all three in Bury Place. Jagannath was dressed once a week, Radha Krishna every day. But they only dressed the deities very simply. 45 minutes they had to dress the deity and do everything. And they did it. I don't know how they did it. I wasn't a pujari, but they did it. And Prabhupada said it shouldn't take more than 45 minutes. But now, 2.5 hours done. We're still not finished. And no one's in the temple room, generally. Or some people may stay for japa. But it's like, when you're sitting in front of the deities, there's nothing like it, chanting japa in front of the deities. It's incredible. Okay, take up your weapons and let us go to battle. Okay? We have a special machine here which monitors everyone's thought patterns, okay? We'll have a look at it afterwards and see how attentive you are. Are you ready? You got it? Okay, if you don't have beads with you today, you left them behind. Brahmachari. Huh?
And left mine as well.
Oh, come on. The first thing you think of, where are my beads? It's a start, first thing. Where are the beads? Are we ready? Yes. Okay, let's begin. All together. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama
Finish the round yet?
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Finished the round by now. Anyone finished the round, or was it just me? You finished? You finished? You finished? You were counting on the fingers, pretty good. Finished? Yeah. You should have just finished. But some are more enthusiastic. They want to go on and on. I do recommend, however, you count your beads. Some devotees have been chanting their lifetime 108 beads. Some 106. It's a fact. For many years, devotees have sometimes not counted. They didn't realize they had more than 108 beads. Or 110 beads, not 108. They chant 110 or 106 or something in between. It happens.
Can you please, I don't know, you might feel uncomfortable, but can you please do your chanting like you normally do? Like at what pace you do?
What, no, well, that won't take long. That will only take 14 minutes of that.
No, I'm sure you won't be doing that. So.
Is that good? It only takes 1.5 minutes to finish a round. It's really good. I can finish all my rounds, 16 rounds. You know how long that takes? 20 minutes. 21 minutes if I'm slow. It's pretty good. Plenty of time for sleeping.
Can you please do it seriously so I can see how you do it?
I don't know. I'm embarrassed now.
What does it take for you?
Well, it normally, I mean, again, concentration or focus is a big thing. I mean, we're distracted. So sometimes you don't even move your beads. Sometimes you don't even move your counting beads. Sometimes, you know what I mean? You don't remember if you finished the round or started it sometimes. It's so, you know. That's the advantage, I suppose. It's supposed to be of chanting with others. Now, of course, some devotees are very serious and they're very practiced and they're very sincere. And they can chant steadily. Some have to chant a little louder, some need to walk a little bit to keep awake. So it's nice to look at a picture of the deity, or I like to look at the Mahamantra when I chant. I'm not recommending it necessarily. I do not. Personally, I don't like to hear, I don't dislike it, but I prefer not to have a tape playing when I'm chanting. Some devotees do, some don't. There's no hard and fast rule there. Whatever helps you to try to be conscious, become conscious. Being conscious first, and then chant whatever pace you can, you know. Baba said in the beginning, don't worry too much about the speed. It's hearing. Try to hear the sound. I mean, one of the secrets is, and I don't apply it, but I remember it sometimes, is one of the famous statements of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, dwell not the past that sleeps, nor ere the future dream at all, but live with times that are with thee in progress thee shall call. Now you apply that to your japa. Now Burijan Prabhu Sachinanda Maharaja, you've been many times to their japa. Are you okay?
Yeah.
You gotta go?
No, need to go to the toilet.
Okay, well, we give you permission for that one. You have to, nature's call has to be taken care of for sure. Please make a little gap there so that people can come through. So, I mean, one of their simple things is to just try to focus on the now, isn't it? Don't worry about the past or the future. The now, where we are now. The mantra, or even the one word. Just try to be with that one word. One mantra, of course, because it's a string of words, we could say. But just try to focus on that one. Don't worry if you didn't, last one may have been all over the place. But just try to live in the present like that. Each mantra, try to live in the present. It's a meditation of, not necessarily while you're chanting so much, maybe, but especially in our preparation to try to chant the mantra. Now, another meditation, there's so many wonderful guides or assistants there. I think there's a book by Mahatma, Japa Affirmations or something. I've not really gone through it. I've got my own kind of mood there, but it's helping a lot of devotees to kind of be a little bit more serious about their service to the holy name. There are many books. So many books have come out. Satsvarup Maharaj started with Japa Reform Notebook. That was a good book. And then many others have come out. Mahanidi Swami, Sachinanda Maharaj, Burijan Prabhu. Many devotees have come out, right, with different aids to remind us. It is very good from time to time to refer to those, whatever, testimonies, realizations, shastric statements, whatever it is. You find yourself what helps you to, just to be a little bit more, let's say, realizing how fortunate we are to have this opportunity to associate in this way. We've been given this gift. And if you chant 1 round, 2 rounds, 4 rounds, or 16 rounds, 64 rounds, whatever we're doing, it's wonderful. But, we can all try to be a little bit more conscious of what we're doing, that's all. Not everyone can do, we're not all on the same level. We just want to encourage everyone to chant the holy names. But this is really how much emphasis our acharyas put to chanting the holy names. Everything's there in the holy names. So we'll just try to chant as nicely as we can. We can't pronounce properly, most of us. It's not the pronunciation which is this, it's the heart, the intent. We try our best. It's like, for instance, some of us have strange names like me, Janananda, whatever it is. Now, for a Westerner, that's kind of a funny name, I think, isn't it? We may have even more complicated names. I don't know if anyone here has a very complicated name. Something for a Westerner is very difficult to relate to, I know the first time I read the Mahabharata, it was all full of, this is before I ever heard of the Hare Krishna movement. I read a big volume of the Mahabharata, and there's all these funny names, like Drista Jumna and this thing. Very, foreign. I mean, you couldn't even, how do you pronounce that one, And so many of them. So it's okay, it doesn't matter. I just said, just call him David. I just kind of imposed kind of names I could relate to. They're not that I said that, but I just thought it was just a name, and you don't have to try to get into it. And like that. So we may not be able to pronounce, and Prabhupada said that the pronunciation, we try our best. Now, if you were talking to someone, say somebody, let's give an example here. I don't know, I don't like to point anyone out here, so I'll use myself as an example. Somebody says, what's your name? I say, my name is Janananda Das. Now, they can't say it, but I know that they're trying to be respectful. They're trying to say it, but they may not be able to say it, because they may be from China or from England or some country where that's not a common combination of, sounds. But they're trying to do it, and, you accept that. It's like your child, when the child learns to speak, obviously we know, the parent may understand what the child's saying, but no one else can understand. You get used to certain sounds meaning certain things. But, mapa, habawa, mababa, papa, ma, mama, mama, whatever. I don't know what kids say when they first start speaking, some kind of little kind of things, referring to something. But, you don't put them, you encourage them. Wow, that's wonderful. You're kind of very encouraged. Well, we shouldn't be children. We should try to chant as nicely as we can, address Krishna's name as nicely as we can, and not just rush through it as if just something we do to clock up a number or finish our quota. Krishna is not, it's not just something he's not like just a quota man. It's a relationship we're trying to develop here. It's not just a number. The numbers may help to inspire us to move forward, to be, a little bit more serious about our efforts to chant, etc. But ultimately it's not the goal. The reason we have 16 rounds, we're pleasing our spiritual master as a minimum fixture to try to get us to chant as much as possible. But we should also try to chant as nicely as we can. Maybe we can hear others chant. I frankly hear other devotees chanting very nicely. Sometimes we're a little inattentive, isn't it? Maybe who would like to chant one mantra? As if you're chanting japa. Who would like to do that? Anyone? So that we can hear? Anyone like to demonstrate? That's slow. What we chanted just now, that congregational japa, is slow. It may be a little bit more than half the normal speed, I think, which most of us chant around about 7 or 8 minutes. That's a general average. Some a little quicker, some a little slower. It's not so much the time. You've got to judge yourself. I know as householders, sometimes you don't get much concentrated time. You have to go to work, you've got kids, and sometimes you chant in the bus, or when you're sitting in the car with someone else, hopefully not when you're driving, and someone else is driving. I like that. It's not the best, but you're sincerely trying to finish your promise, or your number of japas, whatever. But as much as possible, choose the best time, the best place to, render the service of trying to chant Krishna's name. Asikananda, you chant one mantra.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Is that okay? Does it pass the test? Not bad. I mean, I could hear each word. Obviously, it could be pronounced. Here comes one of the very wonderful books by Burjan Prabhu called Japa, Meditation, which helps us to enter deeper, not just into chanting, but the understanding of what we're doing also. The meaning of the mantras, everything. Very good book, Japa. If anyone, I don't know if they're available here, but it is a very good book. Anyone else like to chant? Yeah? Come on, I want someone else to chant. One of you ladies, come on. There's 3 very wonderful Vaishnavas here.
So I have to go at the pace that I normally do.
You forgot the mantra? Anyone got a piece of paper with it on, please? Sometimes we think we may have forgotten it the way it's a fact. You get into a habit sometimes, You don't even realize it.
Well, sometimes what I do is when there's lots of rounds, then, not lots of rounds, I sort of like chant, like some words are said like sort of silently than the others.
Yeah. But it was something that we all to err is human. We all slip up sometimes. It's good to check sometimes. Same with Gayatri, those who are chanting Gayatri, some of you may be Brahmana Siddhi. You find yourself getting into unconscious habits after a while. You didn't even realize it until you stop yourself. Same with japa. It's a very common thing in japa. Many different common habits. Missing out words. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. It's a very common one. Very common. Extremely common. Missing out the last two hoorays, or one of the hoorays. Yeah, it's Radharani. We're missing Radharani then.
Maharaj, I have a suggestion. Like I suggested that when I've done it with myself as well many times, because everyone has a phone, and so you can like record your whole japa session, and then at least half an hour, not just 5 minutes, because the first 5 minutes, if you know you're recorded, you will be more focused. But do like half an hour, like a good bit, and then listen to it attentively, and then you find out actually what you're missing out.
Yeah. It's very, very good suggestion. And we used to do this, but not yourself. We do it secretly.
Otherwise you're conscious.
Well, that may be so also, whichever one it is, but if you don't even know it, especially when you hear, I mean, sometimes you hear some, what sound? I don't know, but it doesn't sound like the mantra that's coming out sometimes. I've heard things like that, you know. I thought, my God, it's almost, I think if it was me, I'd run away, you know. Everyone started calling me like that, I'd run away. It's like, really, I mean, sometimes it gets really bad. It is. If you do it yourself, that's great, you're serious. But sometimes, of course, others may not appreciate it, but sometimes we do this secret thing. We used to record devotees, you know. Unknowingly, you sit next to them with in your pocket or something, recording their japa. And it's remarkable what you hear. Absolutely remarkable.
Did you play it back for them after that?
Sorry?
Did you play it back for them after?
Well, that's the idea, yeah, but you've got to bear in mind who they are. Some people get quite upset when you do that.
Yeah, they get offended.
Very, very upset. So you have to bear that in mind. But it's just, but then you bring it out in general talks or whatever, you know. You know, when you're trying to educate each other, it's not just educate others, it's educating each other. Sometimes you don't directly, but you bring it out as reminders, you know. And then if there's a very good relationship, you may, you know, slowly bring it in. You have to have a relationship with that person, otherwise they won't listen. They either have to accept you as an authority or you're very close friends and they're really appreciative, but you've got to be very careful about, you know, correcting someone. They can quite get upset. I've seen that unfortunately happen.
It takes 5 hours to chant because it is health.
16 rounds.
Health issue, yeah.
Health issue.
They can't breathe properly.
No, health, that means he's super sincere. It's not a question of the time, it's your sincerity that counts, you know. You know, we had one boy, he came to the temple, I don't know, it was 72 or 3 or so, I can't remember. But he came, he wanted to join and said, you know, he already knew 16 rounds was the standard. He never stayed in a temple, no one had really taught him how to chant japa. And he said, he joined the temple and he found out what the schedule was. I said, well, how on earth can I finish 16 rounds? Because like 5 till 7:15 was the japa period in the morning. How can I finish 16 rounds in that time? I have to stay up all night. I said, well, it's not too difficult to finish japa. Maybe you've got 1 or 2 over, but you know, you can always find time in the day to make up 1 or 2 rounds. I said, no, I can only chant like 2 rounds in 2.5 hours. I said, really? How are you chanting? He said, well, the way I learned. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He was chanting like that on his beads. It took me all day. Because he'd heard it on the record, and it was a Radha Krishna album or something. That's how he was chanting his japa. He didn't know. You know, how is it possible to chant like that? Yeah. Anyway, whatever. You do your best. If you can chant in the morning, it's good. If you can't, chant when you can. Morning's generally the best. I know it's not always easy with the kiddies going to school and tiredness and everything creeps up on us. But if you can put those morning hours, at least some time in the morning aside for chanting, in a nice quiet place as much as possible, clean place. Keep clean. You know, being clean and in a clean place does help us to be a little bit more focused, you know. If your room is all cluttered, you know, or crowded up with things that remind you of everything but Krishna. You're sat in front of your book rack and there's all your old books from when you were a kid and, you know, whatever other novels you read. It's not very easy to, you know, to be, you know, not to be distracted. Or you sit in front of your computer unless you've got the Maha Mantra on it. You know, your tendency is to open up something else. Try to focus as best you can on sound, the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Try as best we can. Help each other. We're a good friend. We want to be, you know, try not to take offense. We're here to help each other to become Krishna conscious. That's what we're all here for. If that helps you, great. Prabhupada took Japa walks. Most of Japa walks that Prabhupada went on were not Japa walks like a normal one. Much of the time he was preaching on the walks. Much of the time.
Maharaj, in old days, when we used to have our old temple, we used to all chant, and as soon as we start falling asleep, Jaima used to go and make herbal tea with a lot of chili powder. And
What do they do?
she would make chili powder and ginger and everything and give it to us so that we don't fall asleep.
Well, that's a good idea.
Not very spicy, just a little pinch.
Wow.
She
It's a good-
sees someone is falling asleep.
It helps you to wake up, does it?
Yeah, just to wake up. Remember, Radha? She used to bring that.
Who did that?
But me, no,
Jaima.
Jaima.
You'll see Jaima tomorrow.
She was Jammavati those days.
She's so enthusiastic.
As soon as she sees the ladies are falling asleep, she'll go and make this tea for us.
Especially in the middle of winter when
Middle
the
of
heater
winter.
is going.
Oh, it
it's
keeps you
so
warm too,
cozy.
doesn't it? Yeah.
To keep us awake.
Wrapped up in blankets. We used to have a water pistol. Whatever. Childlike things, bit of fun, but, you know, just try your best. Help each other. Realize that, you know, most of our problems, honestly speaking, reading Prabhupada's books, hearing Krishna Katha, chanting japa, good kirtan. It's amazing how many problems just tend to evaporate afterwards. They seem to evaporate. Relationships many times too. Again, on attitude when we're doing these things, of course, is important, but in general, even feelings towards others become more favorable. Forgiveness, letting go of grudges, false judgments of others and so on. Many things just evaporate.
You chant properly, you get more taste and you can chant more rounds extra.
Exactly. Which is the follow-on. The follow-on. By associating with the holy name more, then naturally Krishna will reciprocate. Now if you associate with a really nice person, somebody you really like, how do you feel? Does anyone have anyone they really like? You know, if you do, I mean, well, something you really like, how do you feel?
Uplifted.
Huh? Uplifted, exactly. I think it's only natural.
Maharaj, why do we keep a
Pardon?
why do we keep a count on our rounds?
Why do we keep a count on our rounds? Well, besides the kind, you could say, the dutiful aspect, Lord Chaitanya kept count on his rounds. The Goswamis kept count on their rounds. Srila Prabhupada kept count on his rounds. Most of our acharyas kept count on their rounds. Why do we actually do it? Obviously, the dutiful reason is that our spiritual preceptors have given us this direction to keep account of our rounds. Now, another practical reason, especially for, let's say, neophytes like ourselves, is so that we do at least chant. If you have no count on your rounds, there's no regulation. Sankhya-purvaka namagananati. There should be regulation in our chanting. It's to help us to regulate our chanting. Otherwise the tendency is in the neophyte stage that we will not. Laziness is a very prominent factor, not just in how we chant, but whether we chant. You can get really easy get slack, isn't it? Put it aside for later on. And you have to chant according to your capacity, and we don't start at the deep end. But record there so you can gradually increase if you want to, if you have that sincere desire. Otherwise, it's there's no real kind of like monitor there. There's a certain amount of monitor is required. We have monitors in our lives, in all forms of life, to help us to, perform or do that activity in the right way. This is a practical monitor to help us to regulate. Regulation is very important, Krishna says. Detachment and regulation are the ways of controlling the mind. So this is to help us control our mind and senses. It's our form of yoga, a regulated practice. Everything in life is kind of like that in a sense. But we can't, otherwise we don't know. We're lazy, we let go. So we have a regulated chanting, at least that much we do. Whether it's 1 round, 4 rounds, 8 rounds, 16 rounds, 21 rounds, 25, 32, 64, whatever it is, but regulated. Regulation is a system of, it's called Nishta Sadhana Bhakti, regulated devotional service, of cleansing away all the anarthas in our heart when we're regulated. So you have to keep that regular count. And that will be very, especially if it's fulfilling the promise or the relationship with the spiritual masters, then it becomes extra specially beneficial.
Maharaj, if someone chants, say for example, if someone increases their round and then after a while they could not cope with the number. Say for example, someone is doing 16 rounds and then they inspire to increase the rounds to 25, but they can't keep up with 25 for a long time, and they again come back to 16. Is it because of non-aparadvaya chanting, or? That
depends. You can't define it like that. There may be other reasons involved. Many. Health is obviously one. Circumstances is another. Maybe given different directions in life is another. Maybe emphasis on others, so you have too many other services to perform is another. I'll give you an example. I remember one Kartik, I did make a vow to chant 64 rounds every day. I was up to day 24, and somehow I was able to keep it going. And on day 25, the temple management in Vrindavan called me up. I don't know somewhere they found me, and they called me up and begged me to please help with some service which was required. So that was the end of my 64 rounds. So it depends on the situation you're in. But as much as possible, if we do increase, we try to keep it going. But you have to use common sense there. But 16 is the, at least those who are initiated, and sometimes we fall away. Sometimes we have difficulty in our spiritual lives, as understood. Sometimes something, interferes with our enthusiasm. Whatever it may be external or internal. So what do? Is it the end of the world? It's not the end of the world. You just, you try to keep your connection with Krishna the best you can and do what you can. And try to work back again when the time comes. No one's condemned. It's absolutely amazing that devotees, persons from all different walks of life, from Africa, China, Russia, England, New Zealand, France, everywhere, America, India, you expect obviously a little bit more expectant, but other countries are doing this. People are chanting japa on beads. It's so, I could say, foreign to their upbringing in many ways. Some have a little bit of experience with rosary and so on, and some faith there, but it's such an amazing thing. So whatever anyone's doing, we should try to encourage them. Encourage them. Not condemn someone, not criticize them, but try to encourage them. Make them feel, encouraged to move forward in their lives. Sometimes we have setbacks in our lives. We make mistakes. Maybe we commit offenses, yes. But we still have to try to help each other to go forward. You're an animal, Prabhupada said. Well, in one sense we are. It's not like it's like down you go. It's like the propensities. We all have these mundane propensities. We come with this baggage and we're surrounded with it. So it's not surprising. Prabhupada said, don't be surprising those who go, be surprising those who stay, in one sense. We're surrounded with negativity, with modes of nature, with, doubts and so many things. So we definitely need, encouragement, association. We do have our ups and downs, but we just try to carry on. And don't get too proud or too, whatever, fanatical. Just try your best to chant more and more and more. But try, if you're initiated, try to stick to that 16 without fail. And if you can chant more, chant more. But when the time's right, maybe you can make a vow to chant 32 or 64 or whatever it is. But usually in a young age, it's not realistic. As I was saying earlier, some devotees did try to imitate Haridas Thakur in Mayapur during Prabhupada's time. They didn't last. Kali Yuga's not the time for, prematurely doing these type of vows or whatever it is. Our vow is to serve the spiritual master in whatever way he requests. Ultimately Krishna. Do what we can to assist him in the mission of spreading Krishna consciousness. This is a missionary movement, primarily. We chant japa, we get strength, we get more taste, and naturally if you have taste, you can inspire taste in others. It's natural. Hare Kirtan, you've been to many, many retreats. Is that right? Japa retreats? What would you like to add?
I think
Only one went to the Japa retreat.
I remember from the last Japa retreat that Satchidananda Maharaj was saying, focus on the first Hari and then focus on the next Hari as well. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. So the second round of the 8 mantras. And somehow or other, just be in the present, be in the moment, and just don't worry about it. If your mind goes, bring it back and just focus.
Yeah. Again, I've said it before, probably you've heard it 100 times, I don't know, but one thing that always, Mr. Hawkins, Stephen Hawking, scientist, okay, totally material example, but he said his secret in life is that he concentrated on what he could do and not what he couldn't do. Because he was a, spastic cripple, whatever you call it these days, challenged his whole life. He was, basically immobile. But he focused on what he could do, not what he couldn't do. So, similar principle, focus on. You can't change what you've already done. You can't do what you haven't done. And you certainly can't do what you can't do. But we spend a lot of our time worrying about what was the past, or worrying about the future, or what we'd like to do, what we could do, which we aren't going to do, fantasizing and so on and so forth. Let's try to live in that moment that one's in. And as Hare Kirtan said, just try to hear the one sound. Hear Hare, Hare, Hare Krishna, whatever it is, like that. Try to hear the sound. Everything else will come.
Say something? I actually find that the holy name does not tolerate any pride or any offenses to devotees, because then you find that, I've personally found that you lose the taste of the holy name.
Yeah.
Then you have to beg beg.
Well, what happens then? The holy name, as you quite rightly say, doesn't tolerate in a sense. Why? Because he wants you to, he wants you. He simply wants you. So what is that non-tolerant? It's not like you're down to hell forevermore. The reciprocation will be you'll find yourself in a situation, it may take a little time, but you'll be in a situation which will bring you to realize.
Losing the taste is horrible.
It is. Then you realize that. One devotee said to me the other day that he experimented to not chant, a new devotee, for a week, and to see the difference. He was straight away back in chanting again. after 1 week, because he could see the difference in his consciousness. So we have to do that. But sometimes if there is actual serious, we've all got pride, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But when pride is too much and it becomes offensive to other Vaishnavas to a certain level, you will certainly lose your taste for chanting and maybe other things. But still, you'll find yourself in a position, eventually maybe you'll be put into or find yourself in a situation which is actually going to help you to realize the fallacy of your behavior, the effects of that pride, madness, the effects of that offensive behavior, or even to may not even accept you were, but to realize, well, maybe I have been offensive. Sometimes you have to go down a little low before you realize that. But it comes. And then with the humble, we've seen, all of us have experienced it to some degree, and we've seen with devotees who've experienced it to a greater degree. They've completely left devotional service, right? Gone into another world almost. But you generally find, it's amazing, how many times I've seen those same persons again reappear at a certain point of their lives with a different state of mind, with a different approach. They learned a lot in that sense. So the holy name doesn't, that's the end of you forevermore. It's not like that. Okay, for the time being, you have to keep a distance. But the holy name is still preparing us, or still giving us a chance to change, to become more eligible to properly serve the name, to associate. And, hopefully in the association of devotees, these things can be dealt with before they become too critical. Sometimes we don't want that to happen. We're determined in our commitment to being, proud or whatever it is. But hopefully they can be humbly pointed out or brought up to the devotees. Hopefully. That's the whole idea. And in the association of devotees who are sincerely trying to cultivate pure devotion, even if we do have pride, you'll find that in that association, it's somehow or another, you're going to come to your senses. You're going to come to your senses. And either realize I don't belong here, nobody listens to me, whatever it is, or you're going to realize, wait a minute, maybe there's something needs to be adjusted here. Maybe my perception's not as good as it could be. Something may happen. Pray that happens. Okay, well, it's getting jolly late. It's 8:45 almost. So I think we have to have prasadam now. Unless you're fasting.
Maharaj, just want to add a little bit in the chapati. We used to, before I come to Krishna consciousness, we used to write on a piece of paper, on a notebook. And I think that gives you more concentration. Even when I do some japa, I feel sleepy after 2 rounds. So I think writing is it recommended or not?
What do you mean by writing? Can you explain that?
Writing the Mahamantra in a notebook.
You mean hundreds of thousands of times or just one?
Or no, keep writing.
Keep writing.
It gives you more concentration, then you don't feel sleepy or because you're writing something in front of you.
How do you do that? Give me that notebook there.
I do that as well.
Yeah, but how do you do it exactly? Oh, this is too nice a notebook. Does anyone have, this is like an art book. I don't want to scribble on this nice art book. Does anyone have like a scribble pad? It's more like a scribble pad. Do you mean as you chant, you write it?
Yes.
Take a long time.
Yeah, it's long time.
Take a real long time, won't it? Hare Krishna. And I'm a pretty fast writer. Hare Krishna. Measure me, okay? Someone time me with a stopwatch here. Hare Krishna. Someone's measuring?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. 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 Hare. 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 Rama. Hare. Rama. 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 Hare. Hare. How long?
27 seconds.
27 seconds times 100. How much is that? 2,700 seconds, is it? How many is that in minutes? Divided by 60. That's a lot of minutes.
Basically,
2 rounds.
40.
2
Huh?
rounds a minute.
I just wanted to say about
2 rounds a minute.
Yeah.
2 rounds a minute?
No,
What does that mean?
no, 50.
2 rounds. I'll start doing this right away if it's 2 rounds a minute.
50,
2 mantras a minute, more or less.
15 minutes for one round.
Yeah, it's about, well, it's just over 40 minutes if it was 20 seconds. 1 round, 40 minutes. So that's okay, but it would be practical.
It gives like then it gives you more concentrate. I know it's more time consuming,
Sure.
but at the same time, it's more concentrated.
Yeah, but that's fine. But that may be good in the beginning. I think a good way to start. But if you want to chant 16 rounds,
And I can't 60.
you know, it won't work,
They're
would
saying
it?
that maybe in Hindi it takes less time than.
Maybe it takes less time in Hindi.
How do
Yeah.
you do in Hindi?
I can try it in Hindi.
Oh, in
and
Hindi,
somebody can
writing.
come.
Maharaj used to do it in my Gujarati.
Gujarati.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, some devotees they have exercise. They just write page after page, 1,008 mantras. You know, it's a nice thing to do, but it's not
From
the goal.
my family does that too.
Yeah.
So my
Yeah,
parents
some
do it,
people-
I do it, my sister does.
Yeah, but it's not our regulated principle.
No,
You could
but it's
say.
just that sometimes you can't
Yeah.
concentrate, and I just
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that also.
No, it can help you bring you back to concentration. I like to look at the mantra. If you look on my, have I got my
Before
computer
I used to
here?
write Sri Ram when I was
Show
a
me my
teenage girl.
computer.
Yeah, I could write any.
I'll show you what I've got on my computer.
Nowadays, it's more technology. You can copy and
Lovely
paste.
book. Thank you for that. It's technology, but you have to live with the times that are with thee. Live with the times that are with thee. In progress, these shall call. But then, yeah, I mean, we used to write it and look at it when it's written. But I'll just show you what I've got.
When you die, then you know it's a proof you've done something. For whom? When you, I don't know. That was the concept. So
But at least you feel relieved that you've done something.
yeah, you done something. So it's like a paper. You
I
written
used to
something.
write Sri Ram in my teenage.
Well, I'll just show you my personal meditation page. And this isn't the main one. This isn't the main one. I've got a whole load of them.
Is
this the right one? Okay.
So Ma, it should be Ma. Yeah. This is right. Good.
Yeah,
Ra. Ra. So I start my japa off. I have personal. This is just when I'm chanting on my own. I have pages with the mantra. Just flick through it. With Tulsi Devi, I like to meditate on Tulsi. And I'm just, you know, it's like my mind's all over the place. I have to change the colors a little bit now and again. I don't just change it quickly. I chant a round or half a round. And sometimes just change the colors. Tulsi Devi, different forms. I've got some much more developed ones than this. The deity of Tulsi. And I just look at it. And as I chant, I go, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then like that, you know. That's not the updated one, it's an old one, I think. But, you know, I've got lots of these, about 20 of them. Long ones, some of them are long. And I have a whole series of prayers which I used to say before chanting japa, which helps you to focus your heart. That's recommended. Prabhupada even recommended that, to chant prayers before chanting japa sometimes. Sometimes you have to stop and refocus when your mind's just going bananas all around the place. So you stop and just refocus sometimes to hear.
What prayers would you say?
Pardon?
What prayers do you say?
I'll just give you a few of them, and one or two which were Prabhupada said we could chant. Let me see some of the longer ones. Hare Krishna meditation, where are we here? Holy name, meditation, PowerPoint, here we go. Let's just see what this one's all about. I don't know what I've got here. Sometimes you start off by offering your prayers to your spiritual master and to Lord Chaitanya and the Panchatattva. That's just invocation prayers. And then to the holy name, or whatever you wish. This is a presentation, it's not a list of prayers. Just looking at the ones. Oh boy, this is a presentation, it'll be a little more difficult. This is more in kirtan, not japa, I'm afraid. And Prabhupada himself said the prayer, although it doesn't sound like it, but he said, Nivrititashi upagimana bhavoshidi chotamano vilamat kutama shloka kunana. That is one prayer. And there are many by Rupa Goswami. Namashtikam prayers are very, very wonderful. There's a prayer of Sanatana Goswami. I'm sure it's here somewhere, but I just not. This is all about kirtan. This is not about japa, I'm afraid. My japa ones are elsewhere, I think. Well, here's a few. Okay, we'll read a few. Okay, that I chant, or like used to. Nam. Oh, this the Shastakam is very common. I won't chant that. That's very common. You chant the Shastakam prayers. Very, very good. But you've got to hear it. Don't just chant it like a machine. Hear it. Just hear the name. Namaparada yuktanam namanyeva haranchagam avishranti payuktani tanyeva takarani cha. The chanting of Hare Krishna is recommended for persons who commit offences, because if they continue chanting, they will gradually chant offencelessly. Even if in the beginning one chants the Hare Krishna mantra with offences, one will become free from such offences by chanting again and again. So that's an interesting one. Dasa aparada yena hirayena pase kripakari Mahaprabhu majis namarase. O Mahaprabhu, please be merciful to me, so that the 10 offences never touch my heart, and I can always remain absorbed in the rasa of the holy name. And then the Nivrititashir prayer, which Prabhupada said, one of the prayers we should chant. It's not directly related to the Lord, but it relates to descriptions of the Lord, are the right medicine for the conditioned soul, undergoing repeated birth and death. Nikila Shuti Moli Ratnamala Duti Nirajita Pada Pankajat Janta Ayi Mukta Kolar Upasyamanam Paritastram Harinam Samshayami. That's from the Namastikam by Rupa Goswami. O Harinam, the tips of the toes of your lotus feet are constantly being worshipped by the glowing radiance emanating from the string of gems known as the Upanishads, the crown jewels of all the Vedas. You are eternally adored by liberated souls, such as Narada and Shukadev. O Harinam, I take complete shelter of you.
Maharaj, where can I find this verse? Where can we find this verse?
That's in Rupa Goswami Namashtikam. There's about 8 verses glorifying the holy name by Rupa Goswami. I've got them all listed somewhere in another place, but it's not in these presentations. I'd have to have a little more time. Many. I just have to rise this up. It's too small. I can't read it. I'm
wondering whether there's a possibility that, like Gopal was sending out the invitation to all of us.
Pardon?
Gopal sent the invitation for the program tonight, whether the prayers or some of them could be put on the WhatsApp.
Yeah, not a problem at all. I've got them somewhere, but I just don't know where they are right now.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there are many prayers, and you'll see many devotees who put them in books, and you'll find them in different places, but it's nice to have them all in one, not all, there's no end to them, but, you know, some of the key ones in one place. It's a fact. So we'll try to do that. Just, if someone can just send me a reminder, because it's not like a big thing, I can just send it out. I may forget if I don't, someone has to send me a reminder. Maybe Gaurachandra, you can remind me. Can you do that? You're not looking very convinced.
No. I'm just tired, man.
Huh?
No, I was just...
You don't sleep? Why would you be tired?
Huh?
I thought you didn't sleep. Sometimes.
No,
I'm not surprised you're tired. You've been working like anything. You work so hard. Hardly sleeps. He and his wife work very hard. Exemplary.
I wish.
Well, working hard is not our goal, but if we work hard for Krishna, it's wonderful. Okay, we're finished there. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.